Hello Drive Radio fans, Richard Rush here today with my dad, John Rush, behind the camera. And this is the long review of the all-new, brand new 2015 Lexus RCF. This is the, I guess, third car in the F series that Lexus has put out. They originally had the ISF vehicle, which was the four-door. They had the supercar LFA Lexus, and then now they have the RCF. This is the sportier version, or the more enhanced version of the RC350 coupe that Lexus has come out with this year. And let me tell you what, absolute blast of a car to drive. You can see this car has a very particular look about it, a very specific look driving down the road, and man, did Lexus do a good job. So let's take a walk around the car. We'll kind of come on the front first and we'll go back the other way. First thing you will notice, big, huge spindle grille in this car. Some people like it, some people don't. You will have to be the judge. I am certainly a fan of these headlamps, which are kind of give a, again, they're kind of stacked or kind of in this threesome right here. You do have the L daytime running lamps right there, which Lexus has done a great job at. And you do have the center kind of air mount, again, kind of that nice aesthetically pleasing look to it. As we come around to the side over here, I'm going to draw your attention to a couple different things. Some nice 19-inch wheels, which Lexus has added on here. And then as we kind of show you that, we can show you the F Sport badging. I'm going to go through some of the different features real quick before we go along the front. Some of you are going to wonder, what's underneath the hood of this car? And I will tell you, it's a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 that produces 467 horsepower and 389 pounds per foot of torque. So this car does get up and go, not quite the acceleration some of its competitors have, but really does get up and go when it needs to. I think Lexus has it quoted in their internal specs at about 4.4 seconds from 0 to 60. One thing I will point out, Dad, real quick here, is the integrated door handles that Lexus has done. It's no longer, or not long, they've done it on some of their other vehicles, but it's kind of nice and integrated. You don't have separate, you don't have a chrome here. It's all integrated into one. I love the cherry color that Lexus has put on here. It's a very beautiful, very pretty color, very impressed. When we get around to the back, you're going to notice some very definite features. Again, they've wrapped the lights into the hood here, some nice LEDs, very, very nice looking vehicle. You will notice the quad exhaust down here, which we'll get into a little bit more in the driving portion of it. One thing you will notice is it does have, which is part of the premium package on this car, it does have an active rear spoiler, which means in Lexus there's some kind of differing on this. All I know is when you get up to a certain speed, the spoiler comes up to give you some more downforce, some added control. When you get underneath a certain speed, it goes down. You also have the ability to control that from inside the cabin. Just push a button, it comes up, push a button, it goes down, and it does work when you do get up into those higher speeds, getting on a highway, what have it. Overall though, really great car. To be honest, the best way to experience this car is actually to get out and test drive it. So with that, actually, let's go for a quick test drive. We'll come back and we'll go through the interior of the all-new 2015 Lexus RCF. All right, fans, we're here for the driving portion. We just kind of did the exhaust there of the 2015 Lexus RCF. And I'm going to show you real quick the kind of infotainment system with this nice touchpad. We'll go over a little bit more in the interior, but without looking, whereas on the old Lexuses, you kind of would have a little bit of a bump on your fingers to notify you where you're at. Really, it's more here, it's more of a looking thing. So some people are saying it's a downside because you're going to have to go to it and you're going to have to get used to how this actually operates in terms of you actually have to look a little bit more versus doing some of it versus feel. However, to me, very easy to operate, very easy to do. Doesn't have adaptive cruise on this car. Dad, I'm not sure if you can get the actual system. One thing that this car does do is the center cluster right here does change based on what mode you're in. So we're in Eco there, Normal, Sport, and Sport Plus mode, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But a lot of information is at your fingertips there. So with that, best thing for this car is actually for us to take a quick drive. We'll show you it does have the backup lines, and it actually does change, or the grid does move. It's a kind of that dynamic grid control. So if I wanted to get over here, I could right against the curb. Very easy to do back into a space. But with that, let's take a quick drive. One thing I will point out with this car is the 4 different modes: the Eco, Normal, Sport, and Sport Plus. I'm in Normal right here. I'm going to kind of go back across, and you can see how much the wheel gives you. So then I'm going to keep it straight. I'm going to go to Sport Plus, which affects the handling along with the engine, and it's much tighter in terms of our movements here. Some people, my dad, one of them, thought this car rides a little bit rough for what it is. At the same time, it is a sportier car, so something you might have to kind of get used to or be expecting. Real quick, I'm going to, actually not right here because there is a person walking here and I don't want to have any issues there. But as we go down the hill here, I am in the Sport Plus mode. One thing about this car to maximize its full capability is to actually drop it into manual and go from there. You can hear the exhaust wind up and go there. And you can see it definitely will get up and go as you need it to, and it definitely is a very, very fun car to drive. One thing about this car, handles great. Some people aren't huge fans of the handling. To me, I'm just going to tell you what my opinion is. Love this car, love how it drives, love how it operates. You sit very, very, very comfortably into these seats, but you also feel very much in control. When you put it into that manual mode, you do feel in control. Works very, very well. The car does. You could take this car out the day you buy it onto the track and expect to get some great times on a nice road-based course. So definitely Lexus, 2 thumbs up for us. And as we pull out here, we'll let this person pass by, and we will show you one more time kind of the acceleration that is in this car real quick. And then the braking, you got some nice Brembo brakes on this car to slow you down in definitely a admirable amount of time. So with that, let's head back and we'll walk through the interior, and then I'll give you my opinion of the 2015 Lexus RCF Coupe. All right, everyone, we're here for the rear portion, the trunk portion of the 2015 Lexus RCF Coupe. And with this car, as with other cars, but especially this car, get out, test drive it. If you're wanting to purchase this car or another one like it, really get out, get a feel for this car, drive it, and see if it's a car you want, and also do your research online, which I know many of you will. But we're here for the trunk. You can do through the key fob, or you can just go right here, push the button. It's not automatic, but as you can see, you do have enough room to open it up. This has about 10.1 cubic feet of cargo room, and some of you are going to say, what in the world is that? It's about average for this class, just slightly underneath it, but to me, there's plenty of room. One thing I will point out, you cannot fold down the second row of seats, which some of you are going to say, this has second row of seats. It actually does. You can't fold it down because they've added some bracing tied into those second row seats for the front row, so you can't actually set them down. But overall, plenty of room. You can pull it down with here. One thing I will point out, you will notice the spoiler is up, and yet you're still able to open the trunk. So very, very nice feature as you push it down. And we mentioned kind of at the intro the spoiler. We're going to show you that right here. Very, very good job, Lexus. Just in our opinion, our humble opinion, they've done an excellent job there. One other thing I would like to point out, the third brake light right here, right integrated into the bevel, you could say, of the car. It's not back here on the hood, it's not down here, and part of the reason they've done that is because when you have the spoiler come up, you would block the brake light. So right here, it is very nice, honestly, very great, good looking car in my opinion. Normally at this point, we would go into the second row of seating of a car, and we'll kind of show you that here in just a second, but there really isn't a second row seat. Some people will say, oh, well, it's for kids. To be honest with you, to truly enjoy this car, you might be able to fit your kids in there, but it is very, 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 and by very, I mean very. If you have a taller person, I actually drove around a gentleman who was about 6 foot 1 inches tall, or actually taller. He's about 6'3", 6'4". He had to scoot it all the way back to give himself some ample leg room, and that's where you get it. So I will show you real quick, though. You do have it in these nice sporting seats, or sportier seats, which we will talk about. But actually, it's right over here on the side. As you can see, with this seat being all the way back, it's hard to grab. You do grab it and push it up, and it's actually moving forward now automatically. This is attached because it's a nice little magnet. So it is moving forward. If someone wanted to sit in the back seat, they could. There are some vents back there. There's some cup holders right there on the center console. Again, not saying you can't fit anyone back here. There are car seat holders. Something you're going to have to keep in mind. All right, fans, we actually put my dad behind the camera. He's a little bit smaller than me in terms of girth, and so he's kind of in the back. Dad, how much room do you have?
You know, it's surprisingly, it's not as bad as you would think. I've actually got pretty decent room. The question is, because I can't see, how much room does this person now have in the front? And we don't have a third camera person here to actually look at that, but You know, I've got plenty of leg room. I mean, it's tight. I would not want to go for a really, really long trip, but you know, going around town, something along those lines, it would actually work out fine. There is a couple of cup holders back here in the middle, and surprisingly, it's actually a pretty comfortable seat. I'm really surprised. I hadn't climbed in the back of it yet, and surprisingly enough, it actually is halfway comfortable. I mean, you're not going to put anybody with any kind of a long leg. And to Richard's point, he said a minute ago about kids. Well, you'd have to be careful what kid you put back here, because in a lot of cases, this is something people forget. You need a lot of room in the back seat for a kid, especially if they're in any kind of a car seat booster seat, because their legs stick straight out. They're not tall enough for their legs to actually fold over. So you'd need to have a kid in the back or an adult where they can actually put their legs, 90-degree down into the actual seat pocket back here behind, or not, the seat area in between the two seats. Otherwise, yeah, it's going to be tough to get anybody in the back seat, to Richard's point.
Well, there you go. Definitely kind of on the front end portion here, you do have enough room, especially if you're 5'10", maybe 5'8", 5'10" sort of thing. You probably could fit there, or if you're even smaller than that, you definitely could fit. But with that, I'll give the camera back and we'll continue with the review. All right, fans, we're here for the, front seat, which is the main portion of this, of the car, of the 2015 Lexus RCF Coupe. I'm going to walk you through some of the features. You will notice the nice sporty seats that they do have. This model that we are driving does have heated and ventilated front seats. You can see the F kind of imprint here in the front headrest, both sides. Again, these nice sporty seats. For me, again, I'm wider than some people are. Some people are going to be even wider than that. I fit comfortably into the seats, but for those of you who are a little bit larger, even taller, it's going to be a little bit, these seats are pretty narrow in terms of what they're designed to hold you in for. So definitely something to consider. In my opinion, Lexus has done a great job at that. You can get the added leather, which they've done on this car. And as Dad, if you can kind of show them here, it goes leather. This is all leather right here. Leather right here. It gets to some nice soft touches right here. They've added the carbon fiber along the glove box and again along the door handles as well there. And you kind of have that suede look. The leather is an added option on this vehicle if you get the base price, which is the base is starting at $62,400 for this car. You're gonna get a simulated leather feel to it. You have a leather wrapped steering wheel, and I mentioned kind of the suede look right up here. In terms of the navigation, or not navigation, but in terms of the kind of front gear cluster, we talked a little bit about in the driving, very easy to use, very easy to operate. This is very similar to the other Lexuses that we've driven. However, in my opinion, the RC has given it a more sloped design, so it gives you definitely a more aggressive feel, more racing style to it. So definitely a plus in my book. One thing I will point out, it's a little easier to show this when we're stopped. This is Lexus's new touchpad. They've put this in the new NX. They put this in this car. Most vehicles that you drive with Lexus are going to have a nice little the kind of mouse actual button. This is going to be something that you're going to have to try out on your own. For my dad, he's not a huge fan of it. He actually went to a launch of a couple of these cars that have this in it. Myself, I'm a fan. It's very easy to use, very easy to operate. It's almost like you're having a mouse right here. Some other reviews that we've watched, people aren't fans of it. Something you're going to have to be wary of when you do that. So just something to be cautious of. You do have the 4 different modes here. You have Eco, Normal, Sport, and Sport Plus. I'm not going to really call Snow a mode. It just does some different things. This is a rear-wheel drive car. You have the button to put traction control off of, the paddles. But with that, that's actually pretty much for the interior outside of actually going on the driving portion that we did. So let me hop over on the other side and I'll give you my opinion of the 2015 Lexus RCF. All right, everyone, here's my opinion of the 2015 Lexus RCF Coupe. What do I think of this car? First impressions are I love it. It takes a while to get used to. The more I drove this car, the more I liked it, the more I got used to it in terms of what the engine can do, what the handling can do. I got more comfortable in terms of taking corners and just driving this car around. 76,000, I should say, and some change for this car. Is it worth it? You're gonna have to be the judge. Is it worth it to me? If you want a luxurious sports car, which is what this car is, this might be the car for you. Some cons, some people are going to say the price, some people are going to say the everyday drive is a little bit rougher than they would have liked. I know my dad had a little bit of a complaint in terms of that. Myself, I didn't notice it quite as much. I thought it was actually fairly smooth for what this car is. Has great handling, doesn't have quite the acceleration I would have liked to see out of this car. The torque's a little bit lower, but in terms of overall horsepower and handling, Very pleased with it, very impressed with it. But again, the cons is the price tag of that for kind of this model as we drove, about $76,000 and some change, something to be wary of. But is that going to be a deal breaker? I'm not sure. I'd have to have a little bit more time on this car, do a little bit more research and see if this car is for me. But with that, if you enjoyed this review, enjoyed this car, head to my short review that my dad did, and also head to Lexus's website. And if you enjoy it after all of that, head to your local Lexus dealer and tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to our latest video. We really appreciate you listening and watching, and we really do appreciate all the comments that you do have. If you'd like to learn more information, not only about this review, but our other car reviews that we've done, head to our website, www.drive-radio.com. Also head to our Facebook page, facebook.com/driveradio. And last but not least, where you can watch all of these other reviews, head to youtube.com/driveradio, all one word, or in the YouTube search bar, Drive Radio. We have a lot of other content on there, and we look forward to you heading there. Again, checking us out, leaving your comments, and if you're interested in any of these cars, head to your local dealer and tell them that John and Richard Rush from Drive Radio sent you. Thanks, and have a great day, night, and just enjoy yourselves. Thank you so much.